Hi guys, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. This is the last word for Newcastle 0, Brighton 0. Jonathan Kennedy's going to be editing this video, so I think it's going to be a tough one to edit, but Jonathan, all the best.
Pressure's on for you, mate.
Lee, what a shower of shite that was, wasn't it? But we'll start with the lineup. One change, Emil Kraft dropped for Javier Manquillo, was expected. Glad that Steve Bruce went with that.
I was very happy to see, in particular, Emil Kraft drop to the bench, and we're championed Manquillo. I said in last week's radio show I'd love to say Yedlin, but he's not match fit. However, I think it was is it the right or wrong decision? Look, he kept a clean sheet. That's all you can ask the defenders. But I think we knew about Saint-Maximin. We knew about Carroll coming off the bench. Now that was a massive lift. I'm sure you'll touch upon that shortly.
Yeah. Let's start with the first half, and Brighton was very, very comfortable for them today. It's a long trip from Brighton to Newcastle on a Saturday night, so fair play to the fans that travelled up. But it was so comfortable for them. Dale Stephens was getting so much of the ball in midfield. Aaron Moy was very comfortable. Neil Maupay had chances. But you'd have to say Newcastle had the biggest chance of the lot with Joe Linton with the header. But first, Miguel Almiron. How much did Miguel Almiron need to put that in the back of the net today?
It's just a confidence booster. You see tricks and flicks, you see him grafting. He just needs that assist. More importantly though, I think he needs that goal. Or, now that Alan Saint-Maximin's back, he might bench him.
I think he might have. I think he's got one more game because I don't want to risk Maximin because he's looks the bright spark, doesn't he?
Well, Saint-Maximin was the best player going forward, and today he only played 15 minutes. That tells its own story about the whole of Newcastle. So, look, the lad, at least he got it on target because he snapped at them a couple of times. He just needs to be a little bit more cool. He went in that second half. He went for the little curler, a bit weak. He just needs some bit of luck to go in, and I think if he doesn't start producing, because we need goals. This is 3 years running, Johnny. We cannot score against Brighton. This is no disrespect, but we took a point off Norwich and Brighton.
Not good enough. Joe Linton gets a header, unmarked, 8 yards out. Has to be scoring or has to be testing the keeper at the very, very least. Another big chance missed, but you have to say Brighton will be coming away going, how on earth have we dropped 2 points?
We were shocking. We were all saying, because me and Paul and Kyle sit next to each other, we're standing next to each other. That reminded me of Norwich when I went down to Carrow Road. It was very similar. It was the opposition dominating. You mentioned Joe Linton, he had that free header on Norwich as well. Very similar kind of the way the game was panning out, and Brighton looked like a Champions League team. Brighton, man. This is not a dig at Brighton fans, but we should be beaten at home, expected to get 3 points against your relegation rivals. The next relegation team who comes up here expect 3 points because you're at home. You've got that extra support. When I say support, obviously the attendance is down, but the general idea, you're at home. Forget about the performance. That's 2 points dropped overall for me.
Maupay had chances, which I've mentioned. Had a goal disallowed as well for offside, which was rightly offside from VAR, which helped as well. Second half, nothing really much changed, to be brutally honest, especially for the first 15 minutes.
I think you got them in the dressing room, kicked them at the arse though. I think you're seeing a slight different Newcastle side. We're getting a lot more of the ball. But for me, Johnny,
I don't think I'll have to disagree. So what did we do? First 15-20 minutes?
I think we're past a bit better. I'm not saying loads, but it was just marginal. I think there's too many players today who look very lethargic. I think Jetro Williams was shocking. He was awful. I don't know what position. I know Bruce tweaked it in the first half and changed the formation. Atsu. Back to Atsu of old. I know he's had a couple of good games to start the season, but the best, I know you're going to touch upon the substitutes, but the best player was Alan Saint-Maximin.
He was, and he came on with about 20 minutes to go with alongside Sung-Yueng, who came for John Joe Shelby, which, if you haven't seen the player ratings with me and Paul, he has a lot to say about John Joe Shelby in that game.
We just touched upon it in the back what Paul was saying. Shelby walked off like that. He just wasn't looking up, his head was down, he looked dejected.
You hope he was annoyed with his performance. That's what you're hoping for. But he probably wanted to stay on and try and change the game in some aspect. But I thought Key came on and was easily better. He was easily better, but he had more of the ball in the Brighton's half, which we needed to do with the help of Alan Saint-Maximin.
I've always said Shelby should be playing 10 yards further forward because when you've got Fabian Shea and when Lejeune comes back, which will be not far off, there's no place for me for Shelby to ping it. You don't need that. Get him 10 yards, 15 yards further forward because Longstaff, a kid who has little experience, is keeping him out the side when he's fit.
Yep, Alan Saint-Maximin came on and had a go at the full-backs, had a couple of chances testing Matt Ryan. Shelby had a shot before he came off, which was easily saved by Matt Ryan. But Andy Carroll came on and the whole ground got a big boost, Lee.
But we knew that was going to happen, the boost, wasn't it?
We did, but I'm going to put this out to you. We had this big boost, but did Matt Ryan have this real effort on goal that you had to go, what a save, Matt Ryan?
Again, even Paul mentioned it before, second half. There was a lot of, I think we went a little bit more, got more crosses in, we're a little bit direct because we had Carroll on the pitch. But overall, no, he didn't have much. He had a couple of crosses to collect. That was it. But the spark was again through Alan Saint-Maximin. I'm bigging up because he was literally the best player. That's all we had in that second half was him.
And that's how it finished, 0-0. A bright spot from Alan Saint-Maximin going forward, but that was about it. Let's hear what Steve Bruce had to say after that 0-0 dull draw at St James's.
You know, we were too open, too often, too high up the pitch and chasing after it, where we left ourselves wide open and big spaces in behind us. Second, we changed after 30 minutes, and that stemmed the tide a little bit, and then couldn't wait to get them in at half time, to be perfectly honest, and remind them of what they've done very, very well over the last few weeks, rather than be a little bit gung-ho like they were today. And also, we have to look after the ball better than what we did in the first half in particular. If we're going to play in the Premier League, then we've got to make sure that we have the courage to take the ball as well.
And we're back. Lee, I think Steve Bruce is under a bit of pressure now.
I said, well, both me and you said we've got to win this 2-0, and we both predicted that, and we didn't. I think a point just has it as you were. But you've got the problem is, and I said to Paul when we were walking around here to do these videos, the problem is we've got to get some sort of result against Man United or Leicester. For me, you've got to get maybe 2 points or a win off one of them. For me, if we had won today, we could have afforded a defeat from those two because we've beaten a relegation rival. They stop us getting points around it. And yes, I know the performance was shit. It was one of the worst. It's up there with Norwich, but again, in the overall picture, it's 2 points dropped.
Massively 2 points dropped. But you're talking about Leicester away next week, which we'll be at. Well, you'll be at anyway. And then Manchester United 2 weeks tomorrow. They're two teams that are fighting for top four now. Leicester just beating Tottenham today 2-1. Where are we getting points from these two games? Because we can't beat Brighton at home.
I don't know, but the cup game against reserves we've done all right against Leicester. I know we've got a good record and Kyle always gone down a bit, but you've got to get a result from somewhere, and I know we've done it against Spurs, don't get me wrong, which gives you a little bit of confidence, I guess. Liverpool was a write-off. Man United, the only probably small hope I have is that Man United are not the old Man United that I grew up knowing. Leicester are a team in trying to get in that top four, so we might hit them, but in all honesty, I'll be happy for pointing out those two games.
I think I'll be jumping for joy with a point out of them too. Just before we carry on, we'll finish this video, attendance has dropped again. That was the lowest one since Blackburn nearly 10 years ago, which Newcastle lost 2-1. Andy Carroll actually scored that day.
You can rob some run for your money there.
Oh, there you go. And I was only here because I was at the game, that was why. Another worry for the board. Apparently it's costing about £300,000 a game. The fact of these lacks of attendances, is it hurting Mike Ashley in any way?
Not massively. It's TV. Sky, we're here today. We've been covered by BT. You've got the international rights. You've got a lot of American fans, Australian fans, and so on who watch us. That's where the money's coming from. I looked at a stat. It was on Twitter where 13% of all Newcastle's income comes from us season ticket holders. 13%. That's very small, marginal. Are the club worried? I would think so. Yeah. You see them going down and down and down. How? If results don't pick up, it will go lower. But then again, if we start winning games, it'll bring the crowd back. That's just natural. Is it a concern? Is it costing the club? A little bit. But the fans have got every right. We've done a video on it, so check it out. It'll be out the next day or two. Ask fans around the ground today whether they think it's a problem and is it a growing problem. And a lot of them said it is. But they all said that the TV money is where the money is. Unfortunately, that's what Ashley wants.
That's what happened today. The fact that Sky had this game as a 5:30 against Brighton is more money in the pocket of Mr. Ashley and co. Get your comments in below. What did you make of today's game? Do you feel that's 2 points dropped for Newcastle? Is Steve Bruce under pressure now? He hasn't won a home game this season. The only win he's got was at Tottenham. Yes, a fantastic performance, but he needs to back it up with wins against teams that are going to be around us. Like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV. All the reaction will be with Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you at the next video.